Hi, scholars. So today we're going to do lesson 2 in our packet, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you today. But first, something I forgot to tell you yesterday is that on the front of your packet that I sent home was a little, kind of like a little piece of paper stapled that had your Zern username and password to log in online. Zern is what we would use every Friday in math class instead of iReady, and it helped us with our lessons and practicing what we're learning in class. Since we're not in school, Zern is a very good tool to be using to practice every day. So I set everybody up so they're on lesson 1 starting what we did yesterday, and you'll just go along with each day. So try and finish 1 lesson a day before you do your packet, and it'll really help with your work. All right, now that we got that out of the way, we're gonna be doing lesson 2 like I said. I have a poster up here that kind of goes over what we did yesterday. So I have our open shapes, our closed shapes, and then our 3 different groups we made. Our first group was closed shapes with 3 corners and 3 straight sides. Our second group was closed shapes with 4 straight sides and 4 corners. Our last group was a mix of shapes. So we had open shapes, we had closed shapes, we had shapes with no straight sides, we had shapes with 5 straight sides, 6 straight sides, and 7 straight sides in that group. Today we're gonna go over the names of some of these shapes and we're gonna label our chart. So the first shape we have is a triangle. And I think a lot of you have heard of triangle in kindergarten or maybe at home you've talked about shapes. And triangle actually tells us what shape it is in the name. Tri means 3 and angle is the corners. So 3 corners. So looking at our chart, we had a group of shapes that had 3 corners and they're up here. So I'm going to label it triangle, a closed shape with 3 straight sides and 3 corners. So those are our triangles. Our next shape that we're gonna put onto our chart is a hexagon. I don't know, maybe some of you have not heard this shape yet, but a hexagon is a closed shape with 6 straight sides. I drew my hexagon down here, and I'm gonna have it on a whiteboard at the end so you can see it up close. But it says 6 straight sides. And that is a hexagon. Our next shape is a rectangle. A rectangle is this shape with 4 square corners or right angles, we could say. So I'm going to think, do we have any rectangles on our board? 4 straight sides and 4 square corners. Well, I see a couple, and I drew if they had square corners. And there's 4 straight sides. I'm going to put my rectangle over here. We have another description of a shape. It's called a square. A square is a closed shape with 4 straight sides of the same length and 4 square corners. So similar to rectangle, but different. I'm going to say it again. A square is a closed shape with 4 straight sides of the same length and 4 square corners. Well, the one difference between a rectangle and a square is that a square, it has to be the same length. And I'm looking at where I put my rectangle card, and I don't think that shape has all the same length sides. But I'm gonna look at the rest of my shapes. I don't think that's it because it doesn't have 4 square corners or right angles. That one doesn't, that one doesn't. That one has 4 square corners or 4 right angles, but doesn't have the same length sides. But this one looks a whole lot like a square's description. So I'm going to put my post-it note there that says square. Next, we have a rhombus. A rhombus is a closed shape with 4 straight sides of the same length. So this is similar to a square, but it's missing something. I'm going to read it again. A rhombus is a closed shape with 4 straight sides of the same length. So similar to a square, it has 4 straight sides of the same length, but what's different is it doesn't have 4 right corners or 4 right angles or 4 square corners. So I see 3 shapes that do not have 4 square corners, but it needs to have 4 straight sides. And the only one I see that looks like it's 4 straight sides of the same length is the one right here. So I'm going to put a rhombus. Now we have 2 shapes left that don't fit our descriptions yet. These are called a trapezoid. A trapezoid. So a trapezoid is a closed shape with 4 straight sides and 4 corners. Kind of like a rectangle, but a little different. And we're going to get into this later. But these 2 are called a trapezoid. So like I said, I'm going to show you now on a whiteboard so you can really see what all of these are. So up here, I'll make them a little separate. Up here, we have our triangles. I'm going to label it triangles because we can see they have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 3 straight sides. They also have 3 corners. So all of my my triangles up here have those 2 attributes, 3 straight sides and 3 corners. Now, over here by itself, you can see it closer now, is my hexagon. Try and remember what I said a hexagon shape is like. The attribute of a hexagon is it has 6 straight sides. So I wrote it has 6 straight sides. I put these little dots here because it can help you see the sides. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 6 straight sides. It's our hexagon. Now down here, I have our 4 shapes that we talked about that kind of have a lot of similar attributes, but they're not all exactly the same. First over here, we have a square. And remember, a square has 4 straight sides of the same length. As you can see, those are the same length, and 4 square corners or right angles. And I drew those in little squares in there to show you those square angles. And like I said, you can use that template from lesson 1 to help you. Down here we have our rectangle, which is similar, but the difference is not all the sides are the same length. So it's the difference between a rectangle and a square. A square has 4 straight sides of the same length. A rectangle just has 4 straight sides. They're not the same length. Then over here we have a rhombus, which we described as a closed shape with 4 straight sides of the same length. So as you can see, these are 4 straight sides of the same length, but it has nothing about square corners. And then our last one is a trapezoid. That's a closed shape with 4 straight sides. It has 4 corners, but they're not square corners. So like I did with my triangles, I can show the corners with a little curved shape. Not a square shape, it's a little curved shape to show the 4 corners. So these are our different shapes and the names of them that we learned today. Now in your packet, you are on lesson 2, so it's after lesson 1 homework. You get to the lesson 2 sprint. So you guys know how to do a sprint, so you can have your parents help you time yourself during those. You have your application problem for lesson 2 that you can work on. But the most important is your problem set. So your problem set for today looks like this. I'll read you the directions. Number 1 says use the key to color the shapes. Write how many of each shape are in the picture. Whisper the name of the shape as you work. And you can do this because you're at home by yourself. You can whisper it to yourself what the shape is. So your red color, and you should have crayons, we sent those home, are your four-sided shapes. Anything that's four-sided is red. Yellow is your five-sided shapes. And we didn't talk about those today. We didn't name those, but you can count the sides and put little lines like I did on my board to show you five-sided shapes, and that's yellow. Blue is shapes with no corners. With no corners. I wonder if they're going to be open or closed if they have no corners. Then you have green is going to be three-sided shapes. And black will be six-sided shapes. And then you're going to think about the name of the shape. So when you do your four-sided shapes, think about the shape as you do it. On the back, your second page, you're going to circle the shapes that are rectangles. So you're going to put a circle around the rectangles in that group. And then number 3 is the shape a rectangle. And you're going to explain your thinking for both. Are they rectangles? Think about what a rectangle is. If you have time, you can do your extra page, kind of like a spicy page, your lesson 2 homework, but then you can stop after that. I will be posting the next video also today for lesson 3. Try and get that done because it is Wednesday and I was a little behind. So you can get lesson 1 done, lesson 2, lesson 3, and then I'll have lesson 4 and lesson 5 linked below as well so you can get all the videos for the rest of the week. I hope you're doing awesome, and I'll check in with you guys really, really soon. Bye.